Councilmember Knudsen is absent. Councilmember Moses, present. Councilmember Cargill, Councilmember Moore, present. All right, can you lead us to the pledge, please?
I pledge of the United States of America, Father, for which stands one nation, with justice for all. One state,
Awesome. Thank you so much. Take us to the egg now. We had an announcement. We had cookies. This were a gift from SPI. And we need rid of. So anybody that wants to comment or talk has to take at least 3 cookies. Myself included. So we don't have anybody signed up for public comments, so we'll jump into the workshop. On program discussion. Who's got that?
One's gonna pull it up.
I'll pull it up. Okay, I'm not talking.
You just did. That's something you want to go You're good.
Whatever. So, right. That's fine, right? One against the pretty good. Right here. Yep. No. That's not it.
I like
and our computer class is what time?
Well, I started one of these. Just like us, right?
That different? Well, yeah, you have blacks.
Okay. Okay, so basically we've put together a presentation to kind of explain how we intend to look at financing and then what the infrastructure assets basically look like. We believe it's imperative that we have a asset management plan and that it'd be efficient for long-term infrastructure. Okay. So basically, we inherited these assets. Not things have been created today. This has been building over time. So we're now tasked to deal with it. We can't ignore it, and we cannot afford to kick the can down the road anymore.
And when you say assets, I think of something positive. I'm thinking that we inherited these problems.
Well, it's a matter of perspective.
I mean, you have the roads.
That's what they are. There are capital improvement. There are the streets and the roads. I mean,
Yeah, so we're just grouping them all together, good and bad. And those are assets. Whether and what condition the asset is, we'll get into. Okay. One interesting note that I found by scanning the Texas Water Development Board is that EPA is predicting Texas will spend $61 billion over the next 20 years for water infrastructure. And so that's a huge number, and it tells you the magnitude of what it is across the state. And so when we start to look at ways to fund, just think about all the people that we are going to be competing with on the grants program, and versus entities that are able to do a bond program that is sustainable over time. And that's the premise we're operating on. Okay, so we think there is a way to utilize this over. In essence, we're looking at being able to cash flow with bonds. And by doing that, that means we have to put out long-term range plans. And so we'll continually be benefiting water, sewer, and streets up to 30 years from now. And then it starts all over because we'll see
We'll be following.
well, that's true for some of us. And I'm probably one of them. I won't be for them.
Just to clarify, when he says cash flow it, basically, the taxes that we have coming in, we're talking about saying at about a 5% asset to debt ratio. And this continues that trend. So as our debt falls off, we would then sell more bonds. So it's not a massive change in taxing. It's a change in the structure, the way we fix problems.
And we'll get to the spreadsheet, which will kind of show you the thought process of how we propose to manage long-term debt against AD, assessed value from the county. Okay, so next one. Okay, so the consequences of not approving an asset management plan is that the existing assets will continue to deteriorate and the cost to repair and fix will become exponential. The cost to maintain assets continually will escalate over time. And the third one is non-compliance with regulations could force drastic measures by regulatory agencies. So if we're no longer able to fulfill the needs in a state's opinion, they could put the city of Blanco into receivership, which means they hire somebody to take it over. They'll finance all of the bonds to repair everything, and then they recoup it by changing the rate order rather than issuing bonds or anything like that. So it's a very dicey situation to be in, and I think if when the city begins to implement some of the things we're talking about, that'll at least give us some credibility in case we do get into situations that we have to deal with.
Has the state ever done that to a town before? Has the state ever gone into a town before and done that? I'm
Yes.
curious.
Yes.
Yes.
Which little town?
Most of them are small towns in West Texas.
Okay.
A lot of it had to do with water quality. There are some large cities that have been put on notice. One of them was Odessa, I think, 2 years ago. And they passed a bond issue to sell 25 million because the state told them, you either do it or we're doing it. So it's an interesting dilemma. And I think as water issues gain more traction in the state, you're going to start seeing a lot more start to occur in terms of putting things into receivership. And when they go into receivership, it's done by TCEQ or forces, but it goes under PUC.
Yes, and it comes under the governor, basically,
Yeah, and
one
so
way or
then-
another.
yeah, and so the PUC then regulates.
We're a long way from there.
Yes.
So let's keep going.
Yeah, I'm just saying, we don't want to get there. Number 3 is not a good place to be.
No, I'm just curious.
Okay.
And so they can ask questions.
All right. So what we need to get started for water, sewer, and streets. We have a current CIP projects list that we put together. We've made some headway on it. And basically, we're evaluating the status of the water and wastewater lines at this point in time, sewer collection. The main reason that we need to begin our current CIP program is so we can see the conditions underneath what we're dealing with. Because we really don't have a good idea of why are all these talking about, how bad is the sub-base, how easy it will be to move lines out from under the roads. those types of things. And then, just basically what, assets have outlived their useful. And, sewer lines are probably pretty high on the list. These are all,
Cast, probably some of the cast iron,
well, some's probably cast iron, but the bulk of it is vitrified clay.
yeah. I don't know.
And so, yeah, so that's the bulk of the underground lines according to the survey from HR Green. That was pretty much their understanding, but you're right, we probably do have some one-offs, out there as well. The other things that we do have is, on the water lines, we have every known piping. Material, that's what I was looking for, material underneath the city and in the middle of most roads. So, we have everything from thin wall PVC to cast iron pipe to steel ductile iron, steel pipe, ductile iron, all of it. And